Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna. Who's our host family? Okay. And your good wife is in the back in the kitchen. Okay. I've never seen a poster like this. This is Das Avatar with Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra in the middle. Let me guess. You're from Orissa. Yes. Okay. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutane Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschachade Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Friday evening makes it a little easier for everybody. And then comes our holiday weekend. So kids are back from college, looks like, mostly. And vacation time. We've, yesterday evening we began the first of 6 on the topic of the 6 Goswamis. We introduced the topic a bit, and we discussed the eldest amongst the 6 Goswami, namely Sanatana Goswami. And practically in the same syllable as Sanatana Rupa Sanatana. This is a painting of Rupa Goswami. We're going to hear this evening about him, his quality and his character and his service, and some wonderful pastimes that are meant simply to remind us of Krishna. Step back a little bit and some reminder or appreciation why, what's the outcome that I would like to see for myself and for deeply indebted and aware of our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. All of ISKCON is connected to him. And Srila Prabhupada found himself in Vrindavan at the before coming to the West, and made his residence at the Radha Damodar temple, prepared himself for Mission Impossible, the order of his spiritual master. He saw himself not capable, not fit. Somehow he must do it, but somehow he didn't know how he could do it, etc. we're going to hear how Rupa Goswami personally came to him in his spiritual identity, of course, and encouraged him and supported him. And Prabhupada, in the Sad Goswami Ashtaka, I made some request of the devotees to learn or hear these songs, the recordings that Srila Prabhupada gave. 2 different melodies, but they're really out of this world. And you can feel his dedication, devotion, intense prayer to them and following them, carrying forward their mission. So if you haven't already done so, please do so. There's the song is very, it's not all 8 of the Ashtaka. It's 4 of the 8. But it's very powerful, and I sent out a link. Shari probably sent to you. Radhika Raman going through that recording, and it's a very beautiful explanation. So anyway, we're with Rupa Goswami to feel connected to him because, after all, we're followers of Rupa Goswami. Followers of Lord Caitanya are followers of Rupa Goswami, or Rupanugas, that we've learned from our founder Acharya. So we're looking to him for his inspiration and his instructions and so forth. The photograph that you see here is going to start to move quickly without my making it move. Whoop, there it goes. It's the deity of Radha Govindaji at Radhakund. And we'll go back. That's the altar. And Radha Govinda, or Govindaji, was the principal deity of Rupa Goswami. Govinda is the principal deity of the process of devotional service. Sambanda, Avideya, Prayojana. Most of you know those terms. Sambanda, the deity presiding over the relationship of all things with the source of all things, Krishna, is Madan Mohan, worshipped by Sanatana Goswami. And then the deity presiding over the process of acting in that relationship, Abhideya Tattva, or Abhideya Gyan, is Govindaji, and Rupa Goswami wrote about and worshipped. He wrote about the process of devotional service. That was what he was told to do, and that's what he did. Very, very wonderfully. He did many other things too. Oh, so these are deities that he personally worshipped at the Radhakund. And now there's a close-up of the same deity. You see the age of Rupa Goswami, a near contemporary, age-wise, with Lord Caitanya. He lived a longer duration than did Lord Caitanya. And the painting on the left, you'll see again. We mentioned it yesterday. We'll mention it again today. It's Rupa Goswami writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, his primary work, underneath a Kadamba tree. The Kadamba flowers are those white flowers in the tree, and we'll hear the story behind this painting. When we recite our Mangala Charana prayers, the prayers invoking auspiciousness, the first prayer that we recite is this one. So we can recite it together if you like. Sri Caitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Caitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? We mentioned this book yesterday, and you'll hear it every evening. Gora Ganodesh Deepika, It's a who's who in Gaura Leela. Who are they in Krishna Leela? So Rupa Goswami is Sri Rupa Manjari. Sri Rupa Manjari. Here's a little description about Sri Rupa Manjari. In Goloka Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani is lovingly served by 8 principal gopis, of whom Lalita Saki is her dearest friend. These intimate maidservants of Srimati Radhika are assisted by 8 main manjaris, with Sri Rupa Manjari being the leader, and that's Rupa Goswami. They please the sweet divine couple by carrying messages, preparing tasty beverages, stringing fragrant flower garlands, offering betel nut, decorating the kunjas, fanning, etc. So there's a devotee painting of Sri Rupa Manjari carrying some offering for Krishna in her hand. And here's another nice painting. This is a painting of Sri Rupa Manjari comforting Srimati Radharani. This is an artist's depiction of a verse from Padyavali. Padyavali is a compilation of some of Rupa Goswami's favorite verses. Many of them are written by others. Some, even the authors are unknown. Some he authored himself. And this is when he authored himself. It's a pastime depicting when Radharani was first meeting with Krishna, because when they were children, they saw, but this is a personal meeting. The first personal meeting is at a place called Sanket. The pastime is described, but Radharani was at the one hand very much anticipating meeting Krishna, and on the other hand, a natural shyness was holding her back. And Sri Rupa Manjari is coaxing and supporting and encouraging Radha. He's the Lord of your life. Beautiful painting. See the full moon in the background. He's the Lord of your life, and you've given your heart to him already. So this shyness is not appropriate. Just go to him. I'll be with you. We're here to support you. And she didn't use that language. That's modern language. But please give yourself to him, because this is your heart's desire. So Sri Rupa Manjari was very intimate in her. She was of the 8. So there's 8 principal gopis, each of which had 8 principal manjaris. She was the principal manjari of Lalita, who was the principal gopi amongst Radha's gopis, friends. Rupa Manjari had a very special service. Here's a description found in a writing of Kavi Karnapur, Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. It's a drama. Srila Rupa Goswami, whose dear friend was Sarup Damodar, was the exact replica of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was very, very dear to the Lord. Being the embodiment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love, Rupa Goswami was naturally very beautiful. He very carefully followed the principles enunciated by the Lord, and he was a competent person to explain properly the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expanded his mercy to Srila Rupa Goswami just so he could render service by writing transcendental literatures. And you'll hear this statement many times from many different sources, but he was specifically empowered to fully understand Lord Chaitanya's teachings, to explain Lord Chaitanya's teachings in a written form, and to expand those teachings to the world. He was fully empowered. We have this nice prayer, which Rupa Goswami composed the first time they met. The first time Rupa Goswami met Lord Caitanya in Prayag. We'll hear about that meeting. But this other verse that we recite, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, you know that one, right? Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Goratwishe Namaha. That's Rupa Goswami's composition. So he is the Mahavadanyaya. You got to have a mask. No. Okay. Mahavadanyaya means he is the most munificent. The munificent is a nice word. It's more than merciful. More than merciful. It's munificent. And he gave the fullness of his munificence. He invested it in Rupa Goswami. We'll hear as we go further. Srila Prabhupada, in one lecture in Los Angeles, explained how he got this Back to Godhead magazine title. He explained it right in a lecture. He refers to this verse from Rupa Goswami's writing. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi. To be absorbed in the mellow taste of executing devotional service to Krishna. It's from that phrase, from Rupa Goswami's writing, where the Back to Godhead title came from, or slogan, Back to Godhead. Back home, Back to Godhead. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi. From Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Here's the full verse. It's quoted in Padyavali. It's taken from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and it's in Caitanya Charitamrita, as you see here. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price. What's that? Lolyam. Intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. This is a teaching in Nectar Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, quoted in several places. It's an important verse. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi. So that's a little sketch of Rupa Goswami's contribution. Now we're going to go into some of the details of his life. Yesterday evening we heard the same understanding because Rupa and Sanatana were brothers. They were contemporaries. They were in the government service of the Nawab Hussain Shah reluctantly, and they didn't want to remain there, and they wanted Lord Chaitanya to help them get relieved from that horrible service and to be in his company instead. So they wrote to him, sent messengers. Finally, a reply came back after some time, and the message, for those of you that were with us yesterday, you saw this very same slide yesterday, but it's what he wrote back. Become just like a wife who is attached to another man and will perform her worldly duties to her husband very nicely so he doesn't suspect. But in her mind, she will always be thinking of the other man, waiting for the chance to meet him. And it's said in Caitanya Charitamrita, they understood what he was indicating. It was purposefully a little enigmatic, like not so clear, because other people may have intercepted the message. But they understood. It's stay on with the service of the Nawab, as if you're attached, as if everything is fine, and inside, eagerly continue to cultivate your expectation to be together, and I will come in course of time. And so that's what they did. They waited. And then Lord Chaitanya came. And when he came, he was going to Vrindavan because he was in Puri. That's where his mother requested him to stay. instead of Vrindavan, but he wanted to visit Vrindavan. So he was on his way to Vrindavan, but he took a little bit of a major detour. He didn't even go in the direction of Vrindavan. He went to where Rupa and Sanatana resided. And when he came, Caitanya Mahaprabhu was surrounded by thousands of followers, all the way from Puri to the northern part of Bengal. That's a big distance. Thousands. And when they came to the capital, Ramakeli, the Nawab was a little anxious. What's this mendicant and his thousands of followers? Is it a source of trouble? And so he asked him, one of his ministers, we mentioned this yesterday, the minister downplayed it. He's just a mendicant, don't worry. He's on his way to the holy places, don't worry. He won't be here long, don't worry. So that helped. Then he called his personal secretary, who was Rupa Goswami, personal secretary to the king. And he had given him a name to match his service as personal secretary, Dabir Kas. And he wanted to know, who's this Hindu mendicant with all these followers? And his reply, found in Chaitanya Charitamrita: the Supreme Personality of Godhead who gave you this kingdom and whom you accept as a prophet has taken birth in your country due to your good fortune. This prophet always desires your good fortune. By his grace, all your business is successful. By his blessings, you'll attain victory everywhere. So that helped. And so he became a little more relaxed. But Rupa and Sanatana didn't trust him, rightly so, because he was very cruel. And so they met him at night. This is a painting of their meeting. And they first approached, but the two brothers approached Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. They were more easy to locate. They brought these two brothers directly to Lord Chaitanya. Of course, this is just an artist rendering because it was at night, not during some daytime scene. And they offered their prayers to him. And we'll hear those prayers. We heard their prayers yesterday. Very, very beautiful. You'll hear the expression of their humility in this other book we've been mentioning, Bhakti Ratnakar. The author says, through Haridas Thakur, the Lord taught forbearance. Through Rupa and Sanatana, he taught humility. So we spent some time discussing the humility of Sanatana. And here's what they both said, after paying their obeisances and clutching his feet with their hands. Sir, we belong to the lowest class of men, and our associates and employment are also of the lowest type. Therefore, we cannot introduce ourselves to you. We feel very much ashamed standing here before you. Dear Lord, let us inform you that no one is more sinful than us, nor is there any offender like us. Even if we wanted to mention our sinful activities, we would immediately become ashamed. And what to speak of giving them up? Dear Lord, you have incarnated to deliver the fallen souls. You should consider in this world there is none so fallen as us. We too are millions and millions of times inferior to Jagai and Madhai. We are more degraded, fallen, and sinful than they. Actually, we belong to the caste of meat-eaters because we are servants of meat-eaters. Indeed, our activities are exactly like those of the meat-eaters because we always associate with such people. We are inimical to the cows and the brahmanas. Due to our abominable activities, we are bound by the neck and hands and have been thrown into a ditch filled with abominable stool-like objects of material sense gratification, sense enjoyment. Quite an introduction. It's called humility. And Lord Chaitanya's reply, I really had no need to come to Bengal, but I came anyway, just to see the two of you. No one knows my purpose, and so people ask me why I have come to this village of Ramakeli. I'm very glad that you have come to see me. Now you can go home. Do not fear anything. You have been my servants. One, as much as we wanted you to come, best that you leave immediately, because the Nawab is a wicked man, and today he's okay, and tomorrow he could be murderous. So best if you don't remain. First thing tomorrow, best to leave. And the other advice was for a sadhu to go on pilgrimage to the holy places. Going there with thousands and thousands of people is not good. You should go alone or with one person, and that would be appropriate. So he's giving advice to the personality of Godhead. Pretty bold. And Lord Chaitanya is saying, you're my servants life after life. But Lord Chaitanya considered next morning and decided to return. Take all the thousands and thousands back to Puri, leave them in Puri, travel alone. When he reached Puri, he shared with others what happened during his travels, and he specifically commented, it's right in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the humility of Rupa and Sanatana was so moving, I can't stop thinking about them. So they won his heart. Of course, he's the personality of Godhead.